Perfect podcast. Welcome to the Almost Perfect podcast, a celebration of fuck-ups, failures, and falling flat on your face. This is a podcast that believes you can learn from experience, but that experience doesn't have to be your own. Hi, I'm Bob Perfect, and I'm a functional fuck-up. Let's learn from somebody else's mistakes. And today we are learning from MX. Now, MX is a rapper who streams. He does freestyle streams over on Twitch. And yeah, man, he's someone I've known from the Durban music scene for many, many years. Featured him on Durban Is Yours. I've actually got his album, I Am MX, sitting right next to me in a CD. Remember those? Yeah, I got one of those. So that's the thing. He's someone I've wanted to chat to for a long time, and it's been really cool to see how he's taken to streaming and how it's really reinvigorated his career. Because as he'll tell you, he's a bit of an introvert, and this has allowed him to find like-minded people from the comfort of his own home. So I'll let him talk about that in just a little bit. Of course, I need to let you know that this podcast is brought to you by going to patreon.com/almostperfect. It is also brought to you by the Print Room Durban and King's House of Herbs on Florida Road. With that out the way, it's time for the Almost Perfect podcast with MX. How are you living, MX?
Hey, what's up, Bob? I'm doing great. Bro, I'm good, bro. I'm good. I'm trying to find a word to describe how I'm feeling, but if I were to find one, I'd say I'm grateful.
I feel that because I mean things seem to be going pretty decently for you, but like I assume this gratefulness thing probably came about even a bit before things were going well, or what's the deal there? Are you one of these people who has a gratitude journal, or you think about what you're grateful for in the morning or in the night? What's the deal there?
Yeah, bro, like more than anything, bro, how can I say this, bro? I'll say things are good or I'm grateful because I understand where I'm at, just as a creative, as a person. I can honestly say, hey, man, things could be worse, and I'm choosing to be chuffed and happy about where I'm at, because I find that whenever you show appreciation of where you at, you kind of live in your purpose and things go good. So I won't go as far as saying I have a gratitude journal, but things are cool, bro. Things are cool when you start understanding yourself and you just be gentle with yourself. Shit just goes. Oh, can I swear?
Yeah, dude, for sure.
My bad. Yeah, when you just start appreciating yourself and you just become gentle with yourself, you just become more in alignment with your purpose, and things just become mellow, and like you just realize it's okay, bro.
I feel that. Like, I haven't quite internalized that all just yet, but I've been reading some texts and some book. I've been reading and watching and listening and learning about the Tao, which is like Zen philosophy and stuff like that, and gotten into meditation, gotten into those sorts of things. But I do struggle with it, because like I do fight against the world, and like I don't necessarily always go with the flow. But like, where did your journey with these sorts of ideas start?
Bro, I would, you know what? When I just start thinking of this metaphysical and energy stuff, I just go back to when I was in matric, and when these guys, basically, I had a friend over there. He played rugby, he played first team, and The Secret had just came out, and he would just, yeah, I've got airtime. Yes, I can do this. Everything was yes, yes, yes. No, I can't. And I didn't understand why he kept saying yes. So when I was like, bro, why do you keep saying that when it's not? He's like, that's your problem. You're thinking like this. It's all in your thinking. And back then the ideas this was still like a very new idea. So I think that was the first time I was like conscious of these kind of ideas of like, not being a tree hugger, so to speak, but when you become conscious of the thoughts that you have and trying to always keep them positive, so to speak. And then obviously after that, Drake blew up when we all had Blackberries, and it was just always these positive, deep lyrics. So I get what you're saying about the Tao, and I know that's like, I got into that through Muzi. He gave me a couple books on that. But
Muzi.
I think that started in high school, just being aware of the quality of thoughts you have and how that directly impacts the life you live or how you experience the life that you have.
Yeah, I feel that. I appreciate that as well because like I don't really resonate with the more esoteric stuff, like the connect. Like the secret to me doesn't work because you're just saying yes. It's because you are
Mm.
in a good mindset and in you put yourself into positions where things do work out for you because you think things are going to work out for you. I think there's a bit of confirmation bias to it, but it is something that motivates people. It's something that is a
Yes.
very useful tool to a degree, you know, the whole manifestation thing. I don't think it necessarily
Yeah.
works in terms of like your energy, like, you know, literally fucking like draws things to you, but I understand it in a more um just as a metaphor essentially, you know, like that if you do
1000%.
like put out good vibes, that yeah, good vibes will come back to you, but not like in a hippy dippy kind of way.
Yeah, dude, you see, even talking about this sounds a bit taboo because it almost feels cheesy, so to speak. Oh, happy life, happy me. Like that sounds corny. I can comfortably say that, but there is a truth to that. I say it's in the sense that the energy your aura essentially is. There's another word, aura. The energy you kind of possess kind of dictates the environment you're in. Meaning, if I'm always rapping aggressive, it's probably because I'm around aggressive environments, so to speak. There's kind
Yeah.
of a correlation that goes on between, yeah, bro, like it just goes hand in hand. So I also don't necessarily subscribe to the movie and the book and all that stuff, but there's some intrinsic truths to that because think about it, if you say it doesn't work, then it won't work. So either way, you're still kind of right. You just kind of need to I kind of have a stoic approach to it where you aware of that and you kind of have to hold yourself accountable.
Yeah, well there's also that quote, I can't remember who it's by, but the like the man who says he can and the man who says he can't are both right. And it's like
Hmm.
that is it's something I need to remind myself of. Although I'm never like I can't. It's just like I don't know if I really want to anymore. I guess that's where I'm at with a lot of things. Like, so I see you're streaming these days, and that's something like I've definitely thought about getting into. But I also just like a part of me is like I don't want to be playing games and stuff like that. I know you like do rapping and a lot of other stuff, but like I don't necessarily want to be spending my downtime trying to entertain people, I guess is the way I feel about it. But what got you into streaming and how do you feel about it becoming like this part of your life where, you know, you do have to necessarily kind of be on, you know, you have to be a bit of a character and stuff, or do you not feel that way?
I don't think it's necessarily being a character. It's just being who you already are, in the sense that you could be extroverted. You can host it like a radio show. Like a breakfast radio show doesn't sound like a afternoon drive, for instance. So
Sure.
just down to your persona that you put on, that's all up to you. And I think that's the beauty of the streaming space and area and content creation. A lot of like a lot of people will come from a traditional perspective where they take television programming and try emulate that on the internet. But the internet, we love the internet because it allows you to be who you want to be. We share memes over here, we laugh. You also cannot take yourself so serious. So in terms of like how I stream, I just think it's more of an extension. So I'm definitely, like you can make it satirical as well, where you just take a piss at yourself. uh just like some things you won't be able to do at a radio interview, for instance, or you're
I
able
know.
to put on a persona where it becomes an extension of who you are, especially with what I do, because the engagement is the most important part of the content, meaning that people were there for your actual personality and not necessarily the semantics, or it's all about like, okay, what's your story, but what's your mindset like, but why is your mindset the way it is? And I think it's working because there's a lot more people who are alike more than there are different. And it doesn't matter what walk of life you are from. People just always have this longing of I want to feel like I belong or this person gets me, you know?
And you, like before we were talking with the record button going, you were saying that you're actually a bit of an introvert. So, like, which I get, but also like a little bit of a surprise considering you're a rapper. But at the same time, I remember didn't see you perform live too many times. So yeah, has this like really allowed you to open up in terms of being an introvert, but also being able to express yourself creatively?
1000%. 1000%. Yeah, like not introvert in the sense like I'm a black gothic guy who lives somewhere in the suburbs and I burn candles. No, 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 not that kind of introvert. Introvert in the sense that I've always, you see, I grew up nomadic, meaning I've lived in Joburg, I've lived in Cape Town, I've lived all over Durban from Overport to Mayville to, like I've moved around a lot. So
Okay.
when you move around a lot, you end up, it's like a lot of people I know will either like grow up in one place and then they've got childhood friends. I don't really have that. So when I say I'm quite introverted, it comes from the fact that you end up being with yourself for such a long time where, like you stay to yourself in that sense. Doesn't mean that I can't socialize or connect with people, but my first preference is to always be like, okay, let me move away from everyone and try do this my own way.
Once again, that's very relatable. Although I spent my 20s definitely being sociable. Like my teen years, not so much. My 30s, because of a pandemic and also just, yeah, because of the way life is, I've definitely been a bit more reserved. But I feel that like whole thing of being alone because I grew up like as an only child, but I was also I grew up in the neighborhood, but I was always an outsider and stuff. So I kept to myself at times and would be bullied and ostracized and those sorts of things. So I'm someone who's also very comfortable with their own company, essentially. I don't mind just sitting and thinking for a bit or picking up a book. So that I get in terms of that, but I can't imagine too many people imagining me to be an introvert based on their experiences with
Well, you
me
did
when
stand
I'm
up,
out and
bro.
about. Pardon?
I mean, you have a career in stand up.
Not at the moment, but we're getting back there soon. And trust me, you get many introverted stand-up comedians. Like stand-up comedy is actually a very solitary and impersonal kind of thing sometimes. Like when you're doing it, it's especially when you're doing it in like a proper club where the lights is just fully on you, like you're kind of just talking to yourself like in reality and getting laughter back, so you're measuring how well it's going based on how people are responding to you, but you can only see the first two rows anyway. So it's not
Mm.
always this thing of like you're actually on stage in front of like a lot of people. Sometimes it feels, and sometimes it is actually you're only on stage in front of a couple of people, and I think sometimes that's actually worse. And what have your onstage experiences been like? So let's get the history of the rap game, bro. How did you start rapping?
Essentially, the journey of rap. I performed the most when I was in a group, the Niche Fam group, which was basically myself, Masandi, and Insizi. We formed this group, I'd say about 2009, and we were quite active and gained a lot of popularity within the music industry because we were doing things in an innovative way. So, like I got to explore and experience like performing quite a bit, whether it was at a tavern in Guamashu or whether it was for a festival or a club. We had this thing of we have to make it. So I got to
How old were
experience
you
that
then?
quite a bit. It was between the ages 18 to 24, 25.
Well, that's when the dreams like it starts off going, we're gonna make it, and then it like changes to like, well, what does making it actually mean?
Exactly. That is so powerful because we all want a big house and a fast car. We all want the
I
dream
don't.
that we're
I
told
don't want a
about.
big house,
But
dude. That
once
shit
you
scares
break
the
it,
fuck out of me.
what's that?
Sorry, man. I was saying like I don't want a big house because that shit scares the fuck out of me. Just trying to keep like a big house secure and clean and fucking maintained and stuff like that. I want a small house with a big yard. Like that's the dream to me.
No, I'm saying the dream that was sold to us
Ah,
growing
yes.
up, like our generation, the idea of success. But to your point, as you grow up, you start realizing, I don't really want that. Or I don't think I do kind of want that, but I don't want it like that. When you start defining what success means to you.
And was that like part of the journey of the rap game?
Yeah, 1000%, because we came in as individual artists, meaning that we all had our own ways to doing something, but it was always housed under umbrella of like, this is how we move as a group, down to choreography on stage. And,
Not.
once you get a bit older and you do experience some success in what you try to attain, you start like you have to carve your own path. As humans, change is the only constants to our lives. So with that being said, my idea of success perhaps isn't the same as your idea of success. You know what I mean? It doesn't take away from the fact that it still is success. I think that's what I'm trying to drive home to your point of like, what does success actually mean to you? Once you start having those questions, you end up realizing, maybe I sabotage myself, or maybe I did this in this instance because a part of me or the subconscious version of me knew that this is not my idea of success.
Fuck yeah, dude. Like, I definitely get that. It's weird though, because sometimes, like, even me, like, I look at how other people navigate some things, and I like, there's that old saying, well, not even the old, fucking, not an old saying. There's that common saying that people always drop on the internet, fumbled the bag, you know? People always talk about how other people fumbled the bag. But you don't know if that person just didn't really want to fucking do the thing anymore. And they were like, you know what, I'm cool. I'm going to go do something else. I'm going to go and, learn pottery or learn woodworking and just live my life instead of trying to chase, those measures of success, especially in, public. Like the problem that we have with music in the modern era, especially, is that it's so driven by popularity. Like, I mean, obviously it always has been that to a degree, but I just mean, but popularity, but not popularity of the music, if that makes sense. It's the popularity of the people has become so much bigger than, the popularity of the music. Back in the day, it was kind of a combination of the mythology behind someone and then, like also this fucking amazing music. But now we just get a saturation of celebrity culture through social media. And so I feel like it becomes way more difficult for an artist trying to just make good music and survive through self-expression, instead of trying to play the game of popularity that has now overtaken everything. And I think it's just made it so much harder for people to really break through and make long-term careers in music and in various art forms without having to sell themselves out to a degree, I guess.
My thing is, because I don't want to sell out. I want to keep it real.
Yeah.
What does selling out actually really mean? It goes back to that idea of what is success.
Yeah, it's an individual.
I do agree
thing.
with you, but also a part of me is also at peace with the fact that maybe the industry, right, and the world has changed from how I perceived it when I was younger. Maybe I was a bit naive in some of my ideas in thinking, you know what I mean? Like I used to have the chip on my shoulder and a bit bitter, so to speak. But, like I've made peace with the fact that, not everyone is meant to be a celebrity. Like if everyone's a celebrity, who's going to do all the other important stuff in society? Like you can still be part of an industry and contribute, right? And live your dream, but do it in your own way with your skills that has been given to you. Whether you believe in aliens, God, ancestors, whatever you want to believe in, it all just comes in being comfortable in the skin that you are in, I feel. Well, at least I feel. Because I've also seen people who are successful, right? Quote unquote successful, and they're miserable. Like they're stressed.
All of them, basically.
It's yeah, dude, it's a job. And we know that everything is not what it appears, meaning that everything's a facade. Everything is just an illusion in the sense that no one is going to go out in the real world and put a version of them that isn't their best or like, and that's what's crazy about now social media and how the internet has progressed. It's become less about connection and more about look at the lifestyle, look at me, like people aren't being the authentic versions of themselves. And that actually takes a toll on your actual soul, so to speak, or it becomes really hard to try sustain. It drains people is what I'm saying. And that's why some people will be successful, but then they're actually the most broken.
Bro, 100%. And also, like, just to what you were saying there, part of me just thinks like, you look at Joel photos, just party photos over the last 20 years, and not even to go 30 years even, and you just see like how it looks like people are having like less and less real fun, if that makes sense, and everyone like looks more and more the same, and like I don't know, I don't even know where I'm going with this line of thought, but it is just something that has been bugging me a little bit lately. Is just like how the internet is such a fucking amazing tool, like it's so fucking cool. It allows you to connect with other people in ways that are, unheard of in a lot of cases. Well, they were thought of, a long time ago by some sci-fi people, and they're slowly becoming reality. And some of that's good and some of that's fucking horrific. But that's the problem, is the horrific stuff seems to be winning out. And like all the stuff of people just being manipulated to try and be this fucking brand on the internet, and then that does fade into their, well, not fade, it merges into their real life, and then they're not even real people in real life anymore. And I just feel like that's something that a lot of people seem to struggle with. And I don't know, you as someone who creates content actually seem to be able to stay pretty real to yourself. So how? I guess is where I'm going with this.
Yo, dude, you put so much pressure with that question on me. It's like, how are you doing it? Bro, as I said, bro, you just have to be honest with yourself, right? Like, in a sense, we touched on, I was in a group, I did this. But when I was in the group, what I was passionate about was trying to vlog, doing YouTube, what is Mate's daughter, doing the admin driven stuff, the actual content. I wasn't even aware it's content on Windows Maker, trying to figure out, what are these transitions? What does it do? And then, oh, okay, we meet a director who actually studied this and has got experience. And I'm interested in Premiere Pro. Like, that's called color grading. This is how you arrange. So I say all that to say that how I do it is play to my strengths. So okay. I've just always had this thing personally where it's like, I love the music, I love everything that comes with it, but I also love the content and actually understanding how to create. So I get what you're saying now. Influencers, half the people who are influencers, you don't even know what they're influencing. Like they don't understand the like principles, like they're not being real, they're completely something different. I get that, but you have to play to your strengths. Meaning, if I was a doctor, for instance, or I studied medicine, I'd probably be rapping about that. Probably, I don't know. There's a way where you can merge the worlds of your passion and your skill set. And that's why I started this by saying I'm grateful, because I understand that the position that I'm in is not one everyone is born into, and not everyone just, they were able to do what I did. Like, I know so many people, maybe some could rap better than me, some could do things better than me in other ways, but they didn't get the opportunities that I got. And that's why I just always go hard with the stuff and try think what's coming up next. How can I improve? Like going to platforms that people maybe aren't that preview to. Like, I remember when Twitter came, Instagram, all these things, I was interested. But then once I see that it gets too popular and it loses what makes it fun, I kind of like move on,
Yeah, I'm in that stage of just like not moving on anymore. I'm just done with all of it. Like, I'm pretty much just running almost perfect things when it comes to, like, that's the thing. Like, I've tried to take myself now out of the internet, like, and just let the almost perfect stuff live on as the thing. Well, not even on the internet, just on social media, because I've got my own website where I write and I create stuff and I put that stuff there. because personally, I just, yeah, like, do feel like everything at the moment is just fucking bugging me, dude. Like, there's none that like Mastodon even just seems like a bad Twitter. You know, like there's that other fucking Instagram that like can't remember the fucking word for it now, but it's using this other technology where everyone's got their own little siloed communities and stuff like that. And like it's interesting and it's cool, but like I'm just like, do I need to share what I had for breakfast with people, you know? And then obviously it comes to the other thing of putting a bit more thought into the content that you create. And that's, I guess, where you're at. And that's also kind of where I'm at, where it's like, rather than just spewing ideas out and just like contributing to the discourse through, I don't know, like, you know, the first thought that comes to my mind when I see the news today, you know, the first thing like, oh shit, now I know everything about economics, you know, like if the stock market's falling, all of a sudden I've got to talk about that. And it's just like, I'm like, fuck it. I just want to bounce from that and actually think for a while and actually try and meaningfully engage with the ideas that I pretend to meaningfully engage with on the internet, I guess.
I completely get you.
Yeah.
But Bob, you mustn't be so pessimistic, bro.
I'm not that pessimistic. I feel like pretty realistic. Like I'm not on the pursuit of happiness. I'm on the pursuit of contentment. Like that's that's the vibe for me. I don't think like, you know, good things are gonna happen, bad things are gonna happen. It's all right. Like I'm just like, I need to, with all of this sort of like stuff, it's taking a look at how it affects me mentally, how it triggers me, how it has just corrupted me. Like that's how I feel. Like I was actually thinking about it earlier that in a weird way, like trying to remove myself from social media was like when I tried to like leave the church and stuff and like just felt like very similar like thoughts. Like and it's I don't even know how to express that properly at the moment, and I will think about it and I will probably write about it. But like it does just feel like a return to myself almost. And that is something that I'm valuing quite a bit. But like I was saying, like I do think that obviously the internet is this amazing tool that we connect with. Like this thing right now, people will be listening to it via the internet. You know, your Twitch stream that you put a bit more effort into than, you know, just fucking, hey guys, here's the thing I'm doing, and like, you know, like here's my breakfast kind of thing. You're not doing that. You're doing freestyles. I've seen you do interviews with other people. I don't know if that's on your channel, but I know I've seen on other channels and stuff. So I get that like there is this element to it, but like, yeah, I've just got my gripes at the moment and I'm just trying to figure it all out, I guess.
Dog, I love that you said that, bro. I'm going to do a shameless plug. I've got a track that I'm going to release. It's called it's called Message to the Dreamer. And basically the whole track goes, I'm just trying to figure it out. I'm not a perfect human. I've got my flaws. I get jealous. I'm angry. I'm not perfect by any sense, right? And I'm still just trying my best. So yeah, bro, it just reminded me of that. And what I can say to you, bro, is, you know, like I love that analogy you gave of you leaving the internet. It reminded, well, not the internet, social media. It reminds you of when you kind of transitioned away from church. Funny enough, as well, I also got to a part in my life in 2017 where things weren't working out. I got screwed over by a couple deals. I thought I was going to push music. I had this grand idea, got screwed over, and I just kind of took myself off the internet for 4 months. I went to the farms, like my farmland. I just got a whole bunch of books and I just tried to recreate. I needed time to myself and figure out what was going on because I knew something was wrong and I wasn't happy. And it's quite important to listen to that inner voice within you when it comes up, because you're always going to have that underlying unsettled version of you, because it's like you're not really getting to the root cause of the issue. You need to go beyond, why do I feel like this? Actually like a honest conversation. And
Yeah.
while I was there, I actually read a book I'll share it with you after this, but it's called The Artist Way. And you just
Okay.
tap in basically to who you are and why you do what you do. It sounds mumbo jumbo, I know, but like I also got tired. I got sick and tired of being sick and tired, basically. And I didn't want to do something that would affect the people around me. So yeah, bro, like you must, I don't know, like if I got any words of encouragement, like no one's perfect, bro. We're still trying to figure it out day by day. But at least when you try figure it out with a smile in your heart and it's going to be okay, it kind of makes it worth it,
Well, yeah, I get that. Like, and I'm definitely on the wavelength of like, it's gonna be okay. Like, even if it's not gonna be okay, it's gonna be okay. Cause like, what's the worst that can happen? Like, even the worst thing that can possibly happen, like you had a good laugh before that. So, that's kind of how I feel about it. It's like, whatever happens, we are adaptable, like as human beings. Like we can manage, and like if that's something that history has shown me, both my personal history and history of everyone else. So I don't always face things with a smile, but I definitely, like I say, like fuck it. If nuclear war breaks out, like not much I can really do about that, but cool. Like we'll deal with it. Like that's the thing. Like
Exactly.
I've been someone who's like, dealt with suicidal ideations and stuff like that. But like these days, my morbid fascination with how everything turns out is way higher. Like I'm just like, let's see what happens. Are we gonna have like the utopian, like vibe of everything like actually comes together? Like humanity unites and we restructure governments and we focus everything where it needs to go, or does it become a plagued fucking barren wasteland of nuclear fallout?
Book of Eli vibes.
Oh shit, I haven't seen that.
Oh, okay. Sorry. That was a bad reference then.
No worries, I'll check it out though. It sounds right up my alley right now. But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm in for it either way, because like my understanding of all of this is like it's kind of funny, like the Taoist stuff, because like one of my favorite comedians growing up was Bill Hicks, and he's got a line that is, don't worry, don't be afraid, because this is just a ride. And like that's essentially the same thing that a lot of different philosophies put across. It's like it's a ride. Like it's gonna sometimes be good, it's gonna sometimes be bad. Just fucking ride it out and see where it takes you.
Exactly, bro. Exactly, bro. And you know what? I also look at life like this. It's like everything may go absolutely bad, as you said, or it may go good, right? So if you had an option to choose for it on how to go, what would you choose? It's not about being an idealist or a realist. It's like, honestly, are you going to look for the positive? I had to do that, bro. Like, I had to do that because I'm talking for me now. When I looked around and I looked at the industry, I looked at the people getting on, I looked at the people getting the deals, you spend so much energy resenting, you know what I mean, when you could be using that energy to improve and actually create something that's fulfilling for you, whatever it is for you. Like back to the idea of success is different for everyone. And like as I said, bro, once I started looking at things like from that perspective and I took ownership of my perspective of, hey, I don't know where I get these ideas about why I feel the way I do about what I do. The best thing for me to do in this matrix is to kind of, try mold it to my own thing. And, am I perfect? No. Am I flawed? Yes. But you know what? I'm going to try make this work for me. I was embarrassed to say I was work for the longest of times because I got street cred. I'm a rapper. And it's like, bro, being broke is not it when you're trying to make it. You know what I mean? Like when I say make it, I mean become successful in whatever endeavor it is. It's called being an adult. So once I let go of the expectations and I can't do this because of that. And I actually just moved into my truth of, hey, you actually like computers. Hey, you actually like that. You actually can design. once I started looking and approaching stuff like that, I learned a lot more. And I found that, I didn't worry as much about trying to make it, like just like have a normal life, so to speak, because it doesn't make sense why should I want this idea of success that I'm not even sure why I want it in the first place?
Yeah, I love the idea of like chasing the ordinary life. Like, it's weird as someone who, because I know as a like there is obviously that drive in me as a stand-up comedian who wants to be relatively well known. Like, I don't want to be doing stadiums ever. That to me sounds fucking like a nightmare. But if I could sell out a week anywhere in the world, like whether it's fucking here or the Philippines or whatever, like wherever I could go and there's like 100 people a night for fucking 7 nights in a row. That to me sounds fucking amazing. And to me, that's probably an ordinary life in comedy, And like, that's the thing, I guess, trying to reconcile because, when you're young and you start out in these pursuits, and I'm sure you felt similarly, especially as you're saying, you're talking about label stuff, and I guess we'll get into that now, is that we've mentioned this before, the whole thing of dreaming of the big houses and stuff, but it's not just the big houses, it's the level of fame that, like, when you're younger, you want everyone to know who you are, like, kind of thing. And for me, I don't want that. I want, like, people who are cool to know who I am, and everyone else, I don't really mind about them too much. But with your journey when it comes to this sort of stuff, like, how much was it, what happened, like, when you're talking about rap? Because you're saying there were some things that didn't quite, you got screwed over in that. And I remember you as a solo act, but I also remember you doing stuff with guys like Champ and Hydrochloric, and like, I know that era of your career. I don't really know the earlier era. So yeah, what happened there?
Yeah, the earlier part of the career was lit, bro. That's what the kids say. It was lit in the sense that we meeting all these people in the industry. When I say the industry, I'm talking about guys operating in Joburg. You're meeting this person who does this, and your understanding of how business operates is different to what it is. You just kind of, I want to be on, I want to be known. Uh, how do I do it? You don't really think of
Yeah.
the logistics. You don't think of why you are doing what you are doing. You just want to have a great time and become popular, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So I won't necessarily say that was the screwed up part. The screwed up part is when you start realizing, hey, the price you have to pay to get known is you probably won't sleep, and you're dealing with characters and people with different energies that you might not necessarily align with. Let me just say it like that. Like, I don't want to
Oh, yes.
trigger, I don't want to spike the algorithm now, and I don't want to get too deep, but as I said, I've always just been such a curious soul, and I understand that we're in a matrix. When it comes to the actual music now, if you get what you know, in the sense that if you don't know something, someone can take advantage of your ignorance. So it's that's why every single week you hear another musician cry about my deal, my contract. And it's like, yeah, if you had took the time to understood what you're getting yourself into, you wouldn't have these problems. But because we are so hungry and so desperate for that fame, we don't really think about it. So I look at the way my career has progressed. And when I say what I'm saying, it's like dealing with publications, being in magazines, doing interviews, getting your music playlisted, all that stuff. You need to, what's the word, bro? You just need to be cognizant and aware that if I'm doing music full time, this is an actual job. And if someone kind of gives me money or somehow I get sponsored, it's not your money. There's more people to that. So it's just a very complex, it's a complex situation, but you need to be very mature and aware. That's why most of these acts have labels, because when you try to do it by yourself, you can do it, but it's that story of I came from rags to riches, but that's not how it goes for everyone in reality. Maybe one in a million. And like, as a musician, you do think that I'm the special one, I'm the chosen one, but reality will tell you otherwise. So yeah, it's very hard to get into more stories about like
Sure.
what necessarily happened. And this is not the ladder of the career. This is more the earlier, like getting a music video playlisted. And now you're kind of popular. And now you're dealing with politics on a higher level, like something maybe a manager would actually handle for you. And now you are messing with other people because it's like, yeah, everything is run on money. And to make money, you need money. That's how the music industry works.
Amen. Like it's not just the music industry; it's kind of all of them. But then, how do you carve out a niche then?
Bro, you carve out a niche, and my brother told me this after we stopped as the group. He was like, bro, anyone can obtain success, but the people who are usually successful, and this is what started changing my idea about the industry, it's the people who are real to themselves. Meaning, if you grew up playing skateboards and you happen to rap, you need to bring the skating passion into your music because that makes you authentic. The people who need to find you will find you, whether you perform at skate parks or you know what we can't all have the same idea of success. And the number one rule to carving your niche is understanding what makes you do what you do. So that's why I do what I do. I like computers. I like being on the internet. Hey, bruh, I'm connecting with guys who also like that, and they're hip hop nerds and they like freestyles. End of story. But then I can't now compare myself to, geez, I don't want to name drop because they'll probably clip this and send it to them. But I can't compare myself to anyone else who has a footprint in the industry because their story is their story.
No, for sure. How did you actually get into streaming though? Because that's so you had the real life like career, like you had people digging you. You've built up your like that's the thing. You first built everything up as a rapper, and then transitioned still as a rapper, but into streaming. So yeah, how did that start?
Yeah, dude, I don't want you to think that I'm making like $1 million off streaming every month and I've made it and I've figured it out or whatever. But
you've got like over 500 subs, which is quite a lot.
Well, we get like 40 subscribers a month or so, and they're quite generous. You know, like they tune in from the UK, from Canada. You know, like we're building a really dope community. And, you know, we got guys like Harry Mack who show love and they do shout outs and stuff like that. So it's pretty dope because it's still quite new, but I'm not clouded by what's going on because my whole thing is since the industry in SA told me that maybe I'm not good enough or whatever, I'm using this platform I'm going to get better as I do this and I'm going to be true to myself. So I'm treating it like practice, so to speak. So when I make the music, I just sound like the best version of myself and I sound like I'm sure of who I am.
Fair enough. But how did it start?
Yeah. Oh, wait, sorry. You were saying, how did I actually get into it?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. As I said, bro, even when we're in the music group, I had a job because to make money, to shoot videos, to do all these things, you need money. So I fused my passion because I studied visual communication, graphic design at DUT. And I was able to work in an advertising and marketing company. And what that did is it just added to my curiosity of like brands and marketing and advertising and how it all worked. You know what I mean? Like, how do you sell a pen? How do you sell salt? So being exposed to that and starting to understand social media and just an audience from a different perspective, it definitely made me curious. So one of the platforms that our clients were on was YouTube, and we were creating the look and feel for the brand on YouTube and putting content on Twitter and all that stuff. So being in that space kind of like always intrigued me. And I was like, shit, these brands are coming into these spaces that we are supposed to be normal and just talk. Like it was kind of like an infiltration of corporate into social media. This is like 2014, 15. So I identified that, oh shit, there's something called Twitch. But I didn't really understand. It just looked like people were playing games on there. But then I've always been interested in advertising and marketing overseas. And a lot of these musicians also use Twitch to play games, to relax if they're not on tour. And I was like, damn, that's actually really dope. People or artists are on this platform doing what they do. And then I found real musicians, people who are struggling and trying to make money on there, and people were supportive. And I'm like, that hit my, it was like a bright idea moment where I'm like, bro, I can relate to that, because it's not that you don't have the talent or you don't have the music, but you sometimes feel people don't care or you nagging them. I thought this was just a Durban thing, but it turns out that it's a worldwide phenomena where people don't feel the respect or they don't feel the love or that community, so to speak. So when I saw that and I started watching more and more, I was like, damn, there has to be a way that I can get on there. And then it became trying to figure out how to get on there. And then now we're on there creating content.
What are some of the tips you can give to other people for growth in Twitch? You know, because I look at it as being quite daunting, because I know like there are people who have been on there. You've been on there for about 2 years, right?
Actively 1 year. I opened my account in 2017, but I've only been streaming for 1 year.
Okay, fuck, that's even better. Because I know people who've been streaming for like a year or two, and you know they still have like 5 viewers and like 10 subs, and it's like they still do it because they love doing it, which was fucking rad. But like it feels like with anything else, it can be hard to beat the algorithm, you know, because you've got your ninjas and you've got your fucking Doja Cats and you've got your, you know, gigantic names on like the front page. So how do you break through that?
Bro, that's a fantastic question. What's crazy is, you see, now this is going to sound like a Twitch advert, which it could be. But what makes Twitch different to all these platforms? Remember earlier on, you said everything just feels the same in terms of influences and content. Everyone is trying to sell you something or look at my life. Twitch is the one platform that I found where people aren't doing that. It's more about, this is what I'm passionate about. It doesn't matter if you love pets. It doesn't matter if you love heavy metal. You people who are interested in what you love will find you. So people stumbled on my page because I told myself, I'm gonna get this shit right, bro. I'm not trying to be the biggest. I'm not trying to be the best. Obviously, when I freestyle and I rap, I'll say those things because you need to have the confidence. But then people started stumbling on my page. Like, so we went from 1 viewer to 3 viewers, or back to 4 viewers, or back to 2 viewers. And then what happens is, just like in real life, word of mouth. So they will say, hey, we just stumbled on this guy. And then that other guy will tell another guy. And then Twitch works really well with a platform called Discord. And that's basically like Messenger mixed with Mixit and WhatsApp in one.
Yeah.
It's a really great platform. So it's like your own server and you create your own channels. And that's how you actually build your own community. So you can put up commands on Twitch that divert people onto this place where they can be 24/7, and you continue building with like-minded people who love what you love. So that's how kind of the growth has gone. But I'm not going to sit over here and lie and be like, bro, we got 1 million viewers every day. Nah, bro, some nights we have 30, some nights we have 10, some nights we have 5. But what matters is the level of engagement and how invested they are in the content.
Yeah, and so you get so that's also the thing that like when I've tried to stream, I've had issues because like I've streamed playing games and stuff, and like so I'm trying to concentrate, but then people are like fucking talking to me, and I'm trying to engage with them and tell them a funny story, but now I just got shot, and now I'm just like, oh god fucking damn it. So like how do you maintain like the engagements with people in that? I guess it's a bit easier with a talk show, but like yeah, you're rapping, you're trying to make sure that everyone feels seen, like you know, like you obviously remember people the more that they're in your stream and stuff like that. So like yeah, what's that all like?
Yeah, when someone is consistently paying you every month, you just seem to remember them. I don't know what it must be.
Yeah, I know about Patreon like people.
Yeah. No, dude, what it is, with rap, because I've been doing it for so long, right? I'm not really crazy at it, but I've put in my hours at it, meaning that I can multitask as I do it. So look at guys like Harry Mack. They literally, you know, carving the path out for the internet rapper. It doesn't matter if you're black, white, Indian, Chinese, South Africa, America, but it's a school of thought that's being pushed where it's like, hey, when you put in the hard work and there's like-minded people, not everyone has to be gangster and shooting stuff and all this crazy shit. You can be yourself, love what you do, and be really good at it. So in terms of what I do, it's kind of easier to cheat code because it's like the more people engage, the more content I get, meaning the more interesting the people make the chat, the more interesting the content is. Because if you say, hey, MX, rap about Durban miners, now I can incorporate that and we're doing it spontaneous. So it's kind of like this energy exchange and collaboration that happens in live time. And back to the point of people always want to be seen. People feel like, hey, I'm contributing to making this guy sound really dope or be a part of this. So it's quite exciting and it's cool. But I won't lie, in the beginning it was hard because I would be like, damn, I just said such a dope line and no one heard it. And then you start realizing, no, it's not about how dope you are. It's about what are you prepared to do, even if no one is over here, but you still do it at a pretty high level. And after a lot of hours, you just get really good at it. So I think the same applies with gaming because I've got a friend from Australia, Sanji Yoka. He's actually a really, really dope freestyler on Twitch and he plays games like Valorant and he freestyles, but he's kicking double time and triple time and he's also playing a game on a voice call with these people. And I'm like, how do you do this? So once you have that motivation and you've built up your craft and your skill, there's nothing that can actually stop you. You can do it in your sleep, is what I'm trying to allude to.
Okay, so it's just a matter of practice. I've heard that makes perfect.
Thank you for simplifying it.
Yeah. The content creation job, like you don't have to express exactly what it is or where you're at in that, but how did that come about? How did you get into doing that as an actual job?
Yeah, dude. So remember I told you, well, I can't really drop the names, but let's just call it fine. Company A. When I was still quite active with the rapping, like performing, traveling, doing a lot of that stuff. What I learned is I got thrown in the deep end because I was a junior graphic designer over there. But one thing I had was my passion, which I loved, hip hop, rap. I love making music, right? So I would see how we'd create this content for these clients and then they would pay money. And, like I learned a lot through that. So obviously, naturally, doing music part-time, I want to vlog, I want to animate stuff, I want to do cool stuff for my brand, so to speak, or me as a musician. I want to differentiate myself. So how can I treat myself as a brand and create content that's actually really cool and exciting and new? So I always had that hunger from my job and it kind of pushes me. And I think it's kind of like an unfair advantage because the older people till today always ask me like, bro, like, what keeps you going? Like, why are you so inspired? And it's like, bro, when you're driven by purpose, it just hits different. Like I grew up respecting guys like Pharrell and Kanye, and those guys, they're actual designers, like they make furniture and design clothes and shoes. So that's how I really got into the content creation. I didn't look at it as me doing a job. I looked at it as an opportunity for me to learn how to tell my story utilizing different mediums. So how I literally ended up at this job, it was a position. Remember, I told you I went away, I ran away from the whole world, and I started to figure out what am I here for? What am I trying to do? What does success mean? And what do I want? So when I went away, I told myself, hey, if I could do this for a living, I'd be really happy. Like capturing people, creating content, pushing ideas, pushing boundaries. If I can get paid to do that and I can still do what I do on the side, I'd actually really have a cool life because I can't complain. And, like I get to express myself creatively at work, but then I also get to work on myself and create content. And the thing is, I've learned a lot. So now I don't move the same way I did when I was 20 or 19. Now I'm starting to, like I think ownership. I'm talking servers. I'm talking investing in equipment, in insuring stuff, looking to bring the ideas to life, but do it myself and encourage and empower other people involved in that venture, so to speak. So it's not just a me thing. It's like I really be messing with these kids who are still creating, and I just talk to the people who want to hear, because I never ever want to seem like I'm talking down or people or trying to sun them, but I try really, really put on the people that are willing to listen, because it's all about information, and it's all about, if you cool-headed and you actually calm about, you want to be in the game for long, you're going to have to move different, because a lot of these guys get the success and everything and then they burn out.
Yeah, that's been seen it so many times, and not even like major success, just some success. You've really got to prepare for it, and that's the thing. The dream it's a dream. It's not reality, unfortunately. And it's so cool that you do have this, like, well, I mean, it's come over time, this cool head, and that you are trying to pass it on to younger people, because I do think when you're younger, you need that guidance, but at the same time, not everyone's always looking for it. Sometimes you think you know better.
1000%, bro. And I hate saying this because this even makes me sound old, but when we were coming up, when I was coming up, the information wasn't readily available like that. So at DUT, instead of studying or after studies, I'd be leaving DUT late because we're on the internet trying to figure out how to do stuff because the information was scarce. So, like there's this weird bridge between people who are older and successful and people who are trying to find their feet. So it's very important to just pass the information, because sometimes the experience that you bring or the wisdom that you bring could greatly impact, the next person who's going to probably be like you in the next 10 years.
Yeah, this weekend I was watching some interviews with Rodney Mullen, who's a skater who I grew up like watching and idolizing, and it's cool to see how he's pretty much, yeah. He invented the flat ground ollie, basically invented the tray flip. Like, he invented like a shitload of fucking tricks. And his thing is like, he's just grateful that he's been able to contribute to the language of skateboarding. Like, he sees people do the tricks that he created, like the way he used to do a 360 flip, and then the way Jason Lee did a 360 flip, and then the way kids like that are like 9 years old do 360 flips these days. It's worlds apart. Like, when he started doing all these tricks, like, I mean, he got them to, because he was doing them on flatland and stuff. Like, he wasn't necessarily, he fucking was a freestyle skater and all of that. And then eventually converted all of that into street skating when, like, he was given motivation by a friend. Like, his career was basically over. And then, like, he took all this freestyle stuff and brought it into street skating. And now you see kids doing shit that he couldn't even fucking, dream of when he was a kid.
Facts.
But at the same time, to him, it's just like, he's just super stoked that he's been able to, like he says, contribute to the language of skateboarding. And I think that's should be the goal for everyone, for everything, like in all the things you do, it should just be about contributing to the conversation. It should just be about, because someone else is going to take what you do and make it better, and you're taking what other people did and making it better for you, and your way. So yeah, I was just thinking about that when you were talking now. I think, yeah, very similar vibes.
Yeah, dog. No, bro, it's all about, like, they say imitation's the highest form of flattery, right? But
sure,
when you leave influence and your fingerprint you become a part of the fingerprint or part of the culture. I don't like that word because it's overused, but it's so dope to see the next people coming up going through, and you can actually offer something of substance and value. You know what I mean? That actually contributes to some way how they progress. But at the same time, you can't be, oh yeah, I did that. You are still constantly pushing. That's what I love about the American guys who, in their 50s and 60s, or late 40s and 50s, we're getting to see how hip hop looks when it ages. And a lot of these guys are CEOs, they're entrepreneurs, they're executive producers, they doing a lot more stuff outside of music. So it's also, we need to be constantly evolving and trying to change. Like, we can't just complain about, this country's like this and this is like that. There comes a point where it's like, shit, we the adults now, we run the world now. I'm part of the people who run the world. How can I make it better? And then you start working with purpose and you start thinking of stuff differently. Like, okay, I need to educate myself on operating business. These are not just songs now. These are ideas that are going to live on. And when you treat it with that respect, it just becomes something way more different. And that's what I'm finding now. I don't downplay music and the power of it.
Fucking amen, bro. Okay, well, I'm going to ask you one last question and then we're going to head on out. This is a question I ask everybody these days. And the question is, so you can either focus on the first half or the second half, but what is one of the biggest mistakes you've made that you have learned a very important lesson from?
Ooh, what a question. What's my biggest mistake that I've made that I've learned from?
What's not necessarily the biggest, but one of the biggest mistakes you've made and something that you learned from that. So it can also just be not necessarily a gigantic mistake, but it could be something that really like taught you a big lesson.
What I've learned is that, bro, you can't expect everyone to be like you. In the sense, I think I've been highlighting that throughout this whole encounter we've had. You can't compare yourself to anyone else. We are all born at different times, at different places, different circumstances. So one thing that I wish I grasped and I understood a bit more earlier was the fact that we're all different and we all got different stories to tell. And that's fine. The beauty of life is understanding what your story is and living it in the best authentic way so you can inspire the next person. I honestly think that's it, because when you start to compare yourself, you start to lose what makes you you, and you become a part of the status quo and you become like everything else. So the best thing is listen to that inner voice. Listen, you already know what you're supposed to do. So tap into that. The earlier you can tap into that, the sooner you start living in your truth and you start living out the dreams that you have. Every dream that you have is valid. It's not some cheesy stuff, bro. This is for real. You're not given a dream that you can't achieve. Your purpose in life is to listen to that voice that you already have and do it unapologetically, bro. Like, fuck everything else. Live your truth.
Amen. And then let the cards fall where they may. That for me personally, that's the thing. It's just give it your all and let the rest happen. Like, you can only control so much.
Exactly, bro. Exactly, man. Thank you so much for having me, bro. Like, yeah, man, I appreciate you, bro. I appreciate like your journey, bro. Like, let's keep going. Don't lose sight, bro. Don't lose sight of why you started, bro.
Don't worry. That's one thing I've always, like, unfortunately, like, never let go of, or else I would be in accounting, or I would be a lawyer. Like, I would be doing something else. But that is not my purpose. My purpose is to try and understand creative people and get their voices out there. Like, that's one of my purposes. The other is to try and share ideas with the world in ways that make them a little bit more palatable. And we'll get there with all of it. But anyway, bro, I want to thank you so much. This has been, it's been a very heavy, like, heady chat, not heavy chat. It's been one to, like, I'm gonna be thinking a bit after this, and it's gonna be quite fun to edit and have a little think.
Oh, for sure, bro. And don't feel stranded. You're not on an island, bro. There's a lot of us who are trying to figure it out. Don't ever be afraid to reach out, and we see however we can combine and spread ideas,
Amen, bro. Definitely. We'll definitely stay in touch. So that was MX. What do you think of that one? You enjoy it? You want to go and find your purpose now? You want to go live with intention? Hopefully you feel a little bit inspired. And if you want to check out more of MX, go and check him out on Twitch at MX South Africa, and also on all the social media platforms under that. As you can tell from the conversation, I'm still very much in my social media is the devil phase. We'll see how long it lasts. I have been posting like little bits. Like, I've been posting some jokes on Facebook just to test some things out, just to see, because I've got to add some stuff to my set, because baby, your boy is going to be back on stage on the 16th of June. And I'm not fucking around. I'm not doing a little, oh, let's test some jokes out. No, we're coming with the full 30-minute headliner slot. Because fuck it, I can do stand-up comedy. I've got a whole lot of jokes that are pretty good. And I'm going to practice the fuck out of them leading up to the gig. I'm just going to do 30 minutes of comedy alone in my bedroom every day. And make sure I know the material off by heart. And with that, I can be comfortable on stage and just feel out the room. So I'm looking forward to that. On the 16th of June, venue will only be announced once you bought your tickets. But if you listened to last week's episode of the podcast, you already know whose house. Not Ren's house, but you know whose house it'll be at. You just don't know where that is exactly. It is in Manor Gardens. It's going to be a lovely, cozy gig. Only 40 tickets available. I'm headlining. Abby Hudson is hosting. We've got newcomer Kamini Governor doing the open slot. And we've got Tibbs Doomy coming through with the support act. Tibbs, of course, someone who's been in the game for a long time now. And stalwart of the Durban scene who I enjoy sharing the stage with. That list is very, very short. So, yeah, man, I'm keen for you guys to check that out. We've also got Ziggy Stardust, who's a rapper, coming through with some raps. And then we've got Damian Rude DJing. And then some guy called DJ Michael Sarah also coming through with the DJ sets. Tickets are 70 Rand, and you can buy them on the Almost Perfect website. Just go to the gigs link, and you'll see it there. You can also find the link on social media. Yep. So that's it. That's the thing. It's happening. It's called House It, by the way. House It. But, silly name, I know. And it's got many different meanings because we're going to be sitting at the gig, sitting on cushions. And yeah, anyway. So that's the thing. I hope to see you there. If you are a patron, you get free entry. So slide in, well, not slide in the DMs, but swing me a message if you are a patron and you didn't check your messages this week. If you're in Durban, come through. And everyone else, 70 Rand, almostperfect.co.za/ETN/house-sit is where you can buy tickets to the show. Other than that, fuck, dude, I've been chilling. I say chilling, I haven't been chilling. I've been working, I've been writing, I've been learning, but I haven't necessarily been doing much to write home about, if that makes sense. This, gig organizing thing and the working thing and all the other things have been taking up a bit of my time. So I got nothing to report. I did log on to Twitter the other day and see that there was another mass shooting in America, and I was just like, cool, I'm out. The human brain was not meant to just be exposed to constant trauma, and especially trauma so far away from us. If you are in America, I feel for you. I hope you guys can actually get your gun laws changed and stuff, but, in South Africa, we've got our own fucking issues, and those are overwhelming as it is. So, yeah, I just saw that, logged out, and carried on living my life, which has become quite a cool thing. Who knew? I know some other people are obviously, Bob, but I've been addicted to this shit for fucking years. And the process of decoupling from social media as much as possible has been an interesting one for me. I don't want to carry on about it though, because I know it's probably pretty fucking boring for most people. Although one thing I will say, it's weird when people are when someone leaves social media, people are like, oh, they're probably just doing it for attention. I was like, no, it's the exact opposite of looking for attention. Just so we're clear. Cool. I will say you should watch Severance. What a fucking incredible show. Lots of philosophical shit. I don't know if I mentioned it. I think I brought it up in some of the podcasts I didn't put out when I was in my more depro phase and didn't want to bring the negginess to the world. So Severance is fucking amazing. Incredible show. Highly, 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 highly recommended. I'm not going to tell you fuck all about what it's about. I want you just to watch and just let it unfold, man. Let it happen. Incredibly well written show, fucking great acting, just banger, absolute banger. So that's it. That's all I got for you this week. Other than that, you can check out almostperfect.co. Occasionally I add other new writings or old writings to that and various other things. There's press shots, there's interviews I've done, other people have interviewed me. You can find that in the press section. There's a whole host of things you can check out over there if you want more from me. If you don't, that's totally chilled. You can just carry on living your life. No stress either way. With that out the way, it's time to shout out the patrons over at the titular titles tier over at patreon.com/almost perfect. Now, this is a tier. It is a $10 tier. It is the top tier, and it is the titular titles tier where you get to pick your title right here on the Almost Perfect podcast. Also, by the way, if you are a patron or you want to be a patron or you've been considering it, I am going to be posting old interviews that I've done with people that I have recorded that weren't for the podcast, like they were for written interviews and that sort of thing. I'm going to clean some of those up and I'm going to post them as Patreon exclusive content. So if you've been, on the fence about joining up, maybe that'll interest you. So patreon.com/almost perfect. Sorry for all the shilling. I know. But we're going to give some shout outs. So, shout out to Rousseau, who is our storage clerk of Sizzle Heresies in the Lesser Overberg region. Shout outs to our executive producer, Stephen Olivier. Shout outs to Russell Grant, the Far East correspondent. Shout outs to Kath Jenkin, the inevitable ruler of the universe, and Queen Swifty. Shout outs to Neil Green, our key grip. Shout outs to Karan Chetty, the assistant to the regional manager. Shout outs to Karan Sleman, the almost perfect hedge fund manager. Shout outs to Julian, who is our king. Shout outs to Vishendra Naidu, the spiritual advisor. Shout outs to Riz Ventura, a director of purchasing. And of course, shout outs to our benefactor, who is anonymous. Lastly, shout outs to you. And I will catch you on the flip side.